The diner sat at the edge of town, half forgotten by time. Its flickering neon sign read Maggie's Place, though half the letters no longer lit up. Inside, the smell of coffee and fried bacon hung in the air, a scent of long nights and harder days. It was a cold evening when he walked in, the kind of man who didn't belong in a place like that. Tall, dressed in a custom suit, shoes that probably cost more than most people's rent. He carried the quiet confidence of someone who had the world in his hands. His name was Ethan Blackwell, billionaire investor, real estate mogul, and a man known for turning dust into gold. No one recognized him at first. To most people, he was just another stranger stopping for coffee. But to one waitress, a young woman named Lila, something about him felt strangely familiar. She noticed it when she brought his coffee. His hand reached for the sugar, and that's when she saw it. The ring. A simple gold band, worn but polished, engraved with 2 small initials inside. Her breath caught. She'd seen that ring before. She hesitated, her tray shaking slightly in her hands. Then, almost without thinking, she said softly, "Hi, sir. My mother has a ring just like yours." Ethan looked up, surprised. For a brief moment, something flickered in his eyes. Confusion, then pain, then something else. He stared at the ring, then at her face. "What did you just say?" he asked quietly. Lila flushed, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound weird. It's just that ring. My mom's worn one exactly like it my whole life. She told me it was a gift from someone very special. The initials inside looked the same, too." Ethan froze. He took off the ring and turned it slowly in his hand. Inside, the engraving read E+M. He felt his heartbeat quicken. "Your mother's name?" "What is it?" "Margaret," Lila said. Margaret Hayes. The color drained from Ethan's face. He leaned back in the booth, staring at nothing. For a long time, he didn't speak. When he finally did, his voice trembled. "Margaret Hayes. I haven't heard that name in 20 years. Lila frowned. "You know her?" Ethan nodded slowly. "I did. She was the love of my life." The diner seemed to fade around them as he began to speak, not to her, but to the memories flooding back. He told her about a time long ago, before the money, before the fame, when he was just a young man working construction in a small town, saving every penny for a better future. That's when he met Margaret. She worked at a bookstore near his site, always smiling, always carrying the scent of paper and coffee. They fell in love fast and hard, the kind of love that felt invincible. But life wasn't kind. Ethan got an offer in another city, a chance to start a company that could change everything. He asked Margaret to come with him, but she had just found out she was pregnant with her sick mother's child to care for. He promised to return. She promised to wait, but fate had other plans. A fire broke out in the small town that destroyed the bookstore and scattered the residents. He searched for her for years, but by the time he found out where she'd gone, she was gone again. No trace, no word. Now here he was, decades later, sitting across from a girl who looked just like her. The same soft eyes, the same gentle voice. "Lila," he whispered, "how old are you?" 21, she said cautiously. He nodded slowly, emotion rising in his throat. "That's about right." The room fell silent. Lila's mind was spinning. "Wait, are you saying you knew my mom before I was born?" He swallowed hard. "I didn't just know her. I loved her. And if what I'm thinking is true, then I might be your father." Lila froze, her heart thudding in her chest. That can't be. But deep down she knew. The timelines, the ring, the way he looked at her, it all made sense. Her hands trembled as she set down the tray. "My mom, she told me my father was a good man." But she said he had to leave to chase his dreams. "She never said your name. I think she didn't want me to grow up resenting you." Ethan's eyes glistened. "I never stopped looking for her." "Not for one day." Lila turned away, tears spilling down her cheeks. "All those years we struggled. Mom worked 3 jobs to raise me. We lived in tiny apartments, sometimes no heat, sometimes no food. And all that time you were out there, building towers, owning cities." Her voice broke. "Why didn't you find us?" Ethan stood, his voice raw. "I tried." "I swear I did. I didn't even know she was pregnant." "If I had—" He stopped, breath shaking. "If I had known, I would have never left." The tension in the diner hung thick. A few curious customers glanced over, sensing something far bigger than a family argument. After a long silence, Ethan spoke again, softly. "Where is she now?" Lila looked down at her apron. "She's at the hospital. Stage 4 cancer. The doctor said there's not much time left. Ethan's eyes filled with pain. Where? Lila hesitated, then said the name of the hospital. Without another word, Ethan pulled out his wallet, left a thick envelope of cash on the table and said, "Let's go." They drove through the night. The rain started again, soft at first, then harder, as if the sky itself was grieving. When they arrived, Lila led him to a small hospital room. Margaret lay on the bed, frail but peaceful, her eyes closed. Her hair had thinned, her hands pale and cold. But when she heard his voice, just a whisper of Maggie, her eyes fluttered open. She looked at him for a long moment. Then weakly she smiled. "You found me." Ethan fell to his knees beside her bed, tears streaming down his face. "I never stopped looking. I'm so sorry. For everything, for leaving, for not being there." She reached out, her fingers trembling as they touched his face. "You kept your promise. You came back." Lila stood silently at the doorway, her own tears falling freely as she watched the man she once thought was a stranger hold her mother like a broken prayer. Margaret passed peacefully 2 nights later, her daughter holding one hand and the man she loved holding the other. After the funeral, Lila and Ethan stood together at her grave. The sun broke through the clouds, warm and golden, washing the world in light. Ethan turned to her. "I can't change the past, but I can promise you this. I'll never disappear again. You're my daughter, Lila, and if you'll let me, I'd like to be your father." Lila looked at him, her voice trembling. "You already are." In the months that followed, the diner got a full renovation, funded quietly by Ethan. The staff got raises, the community saw new life, and a small golden plaque by the entrance read, "In loving memory of Margaret Hayes, the heart that never stopped believing." And as for Lila, she left the diner to finish college, her dream of becoming a writer now finally possible. Ethan was there at every step, proud and present, making up for lost time one day at a time. Because sometimes the past doesn't stay buried forever. Sometimes it finds its way home, through a ring, a word, or a single question asked by a waitress who had no idea her life was about to change forever. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and share it with someone who believes in second chances. And don't forget to subscribe Kindness Trend, because sometimes life writes the most beautiful stories when we least expect them.